Hello, my name is Tim Smith, and today we're going to be doing a brief review of 5 popular supplements in use by strength athletes today. So, before we get started, I just kind of wanted to talk about myself for a second and let you know who I am. Like I said before, my name is Tim Smith, and I'm a recent graduate of Appalachian State University. I obtained my Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition in 2015 and my Master's of Science in Nutrition in 2017. In addition to being passionate about nutrition and studying it for over 6 years, I've been personally weight training for almost 10 years now. I was an employee of Appalachian State University's gyms as a facility supervisor and weight room attendant. I've worked with ASU's athletic department to provide their athletes with adequate nutrition during and after workouts. And I've also worked alongside elite powerlifters, bodybuilders, and Highland Games contenders. But that's enough about me. So, what exactly are we doing here today? The objective of today's session is to briefly discuss 5 popular supplements in use by strength athletes today and just briefly review the evidence for each of them. Just to briefly give you an idea of how this list was created, I reviewed various online resources and received opinions from several athletes around me, and then I compiled a list of 5 popular supplements that are commonly used within the strength training community today. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get started. After consulting my resources, the 5 supplements that I decided to review today include whey protein, creatine, branched-chain amino acids or BCAAs, caffeine, and omega-3 fatty acids, or in this context, fish oil. So in order to assess each supplement, we're going to use a very specific layout. First, we're going to start with background information, which just includes a brief explanation of the supplement. Then we're going to move on to the claims, which is what people claim about the supplement. And then after claims, we're going to go into the reality, which is what evidence actually reflects about the supplement. And finally, we'll come to a verdict, which is ultimately what we should take away. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with number 1, which is whey protein. So whey protein is simply a protein that's found in milk, which can be extracted to form the most commonly used supplement amongst strength athletes today. Usually, it takes the form of a flavored powder, and the idea is that consumption of whey protein after weight training can provide the body with additional protein, thereby promoting recovery and possibly even increasing muscle mass. And a common dosage is roughly 20 grams to maybe 40 grams post-workout. The claim: whey protein is an easy way to get quick protein after a workout, which will lead to increases in strength and hypertrophy. The reality is that whey protein may actually be a good way to fill in protein deficiencies in strength athletes who don't get enough protein otherwise, whether that's due to increased needs or decreased intake of protein. And specifically, there is evidence that exists which suggests that whey protein supplementation may increase muscle protein synthesis and subsequently promote accumulation of additional muscle mass and strength in strength athletes. However, if possible, you should always try to get your protein from whole food sources as opposed to supplements. Also, you should consider that these supplements aren't regulated by the FDA, so consider purchasing whey protein bars, which are FDA regulated. And finally, whey protein can get quite expensive, so cost should also be considered. So ultimately, the verdict is that unless you cannot meet your protein needs through diet alone, consider saving your money. You can likely get enough protein from whole food sources through your diet. On the other hand, though, if you cannot meet your protein needs through diet alone, you may want to consider a protein supplement. And be sure to seek out a reputable source or stick with protein bars that are regulated by the FDA. And now moving on to number 2, we're going to talk about creatine. So creatine is just a peptide found naturally in foods such as meat, eggs, and dairy, and it's become a hugely popular supplement amongst athletes looking to gain strength as well as muscular size. And it usually takes the appearance of a white powder and just looks similar to granulated sugar. Most people will take this supplement immediately before and or after a workout. And a common dosage is between 2.5 to 5 grams per day, which is often split up. The claim here is that supplementing with creatine will increase athletes' strength and muscle size more quickly when compared to athletes who don't take the supplement. The reality is that creatine may actually increase available energy in the form of ATP for use by an athlete's muscles during strength training, thereby improving muscular performance during workouts. Further, creatine may also be associated with mild visual increases in muscular size due to water being drawn into the muscle, as well as increased power output in strength athletes. However, results vary between people, especially in less trained individuals. Also, these data are mostly applicable to athletes who produce short bursts of power, like weightlifters, as opposed to endurance athletes, like marathon runners. And finally, it's important to note that creatine may cause cramping, diarrhea, and could possibly worsen existing kidney damage. The verdict for creatine is that evidence does suggest that creatine supplementation may benefit strength athletes who are hoping to increase overall strength and hypertrophy. And as a whole, creatine is a low risk supplement in healthy individuals, so if an athlete wants to gain strength and size, they could feel free to try it. However, if you're an endurance athlete or just not interested in muscle size and strength, this supplement may not be as effective for your goals. Also, while this supplement is generally safe, it may exacerbate existing kidney problems and could possibly lead to GI symptoms. Moving on to number 3, we're going to talk about branched chain amino acids. Branched chain amino acids, or as they're commonly referred to as BCAAs, have become a popular supplement amongst athletes trying to lose fat mass without sacrificing muscle mass and strength. Similar to our last two supplements, BCAAs usually come in the form of a flavored powder, and most people will take this supplement throughout the day or before a workout. The idea is to provide the muscle tissue with amino acids without consuming excess calories, and a common dosage can range anywhere from 10 to 30 grams per serving. The claim is that BCAAs are a low calorie option for preventing muscle loss, especially when trying to lose weight, and they may be able to replace complete protein in the diet for gains in lean muscle. The reality is that BCAAs may actually preserve muscle mass during a fasted state by increasing fat oxidation, while also increasing lean body mass and strength. Interestingly, BCAAs may also improve workout intensity and decrease perception of fatigue during workouts. However, currently there's no evidence to suggest that these amino acids can take the place of complete proteins in our diet. Also, they are not necessary if you get enough complete protein in your diet anyway. And finally, similar to whey protein, BCAAs are some of the most expensive supplements per serving, so consider the cost if necessary. As for the verdict, evidence does suggest that BCAAs may benefit athletes in preserving lean body mass, improving overall strength, and increasing workout performance by staving off fatigue. And with respect to health, it is also a low risk supplement, so if you can afford it and are looking for a way to preserve hard earned lean body mass, then you may want to consider them. However, BCAAs are not necessary, especially if an athlete is consuming enough protein through the diet. And like whey protein, these supplements are not regulated by the FDA, so use caution. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 4, which is caffeine. Caffeine is an alkaloid with a very bitter taste that exhibits stimulant like properties when consumed, and in its purest form, caffeine is a white powder, although coffee is the most common source of caffeine in the American diet, so it usually doesn't look the way that it does in its pure form. For most people, caffeine is used in the morning for its stimulant like effects, but many people also claim that it can improve athletic performance in the gym. Common dosages can range anywhere from 3 to 5 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day, which equates to about 200 milligrams of caffeine at one time, or 400 milligrams over the course of a day. So the claim is that caffeine may help stave off fatigue during workouts and even has the potential to increase fat oxidation after consumption. Alternatively, the reality is that moderate evidence suggests that caffeine may reduce fatigue during exercise, while there's mild to inconclusive evidence that caffeine may increase fat oxidation. Also, caffeine may improve performance during cardiovascular exercise and has the potential to improve the amount of volume that we can do during resistance and cardio training. As for the verdict on caffeine, Supplementing with caffeine within the indicated dosages can be a safe, effective way to improve performance during cardiovascular and weight bearing exercise. However, be careful not to consume too much, especially in the form of pure caffeine supplements. Just teaspoons of pure caffeine can be lethal, and even less could be lethal for those with liver problems. And finally, you should be aware of the possibility of becoming dependent on caffeine. And last but not least, number 5, omega 3 fatty acids. Omega 3 fatty acids are a class of lipids that exhibit an array of benefits in the general population as well as in athletes. And the main benefit lies in its role as an anti inflammatory, as well as its ability to positively influence serum lipids. And the most common and bioavailable source of omega 3 fatty acids is fatty fish, such as salmon, tuna, and sardines. So, for simplicity, we'll refer to omega 3s as fish oil going forward. And common dosages usually start at 250 milligrams and in some cases can reach up to 6 grams per day. The claim is that consumption of fish oil benefits athletes by reducing inflammation and subsequently improving one's ability to recover from workouts. The reality is that consumption of omega 3 fatty acids appears to be associated with decreased muscle soreness following exercise and may also improve muscle protein synthesis, further promoting recovery post exercise. As for the verdict on fish oil, if you experience significant muscle soreness following workouts and don't consume enough fish, you may want to consider supplementing with fish oil. It appears to demonstrate potential for reducing soreness and improving post workout recovery. However, fish oil supplementation is not necessary if you are consuming enough fish. Also, be careful with hyperlipidemia, because while fish oil does positively benefit serum lipids, it may also increase total cholesterol. And finally, fish oil is also a blood thinner, so too much fish oil may increase your risk of bleeding. And now, let's go ahead and review these findings. First, whey protein appears to help increase muscle protein synthesis and subsequently promote accumulation of muscle mass and strength in strength athletes. However, unless you cannot meet your protein needs through diet alone, whether that's due to increased needs or decreased intake of protein in the diet, consider saving your money. However, if you do purchase it, buy it from a reputable source or stick with products that are regulated by the FDA, such as whey protein bars. Second on the list is creatine. Overall, creatine could help with mild visual increases in muscular size, as well as increased strength and power output, especially in strength focused athletes. In healthy individuals, creatine is a relatively low risk supplement, so if you want to gain more strength and size, feel free to try it in accordance with evidence based dosages. However, results can vary between strength and endurance athletes, and this supplement may cause cramping, diarrhea, and very well could worsen existing kidney complications. Next, BCAAs may benefit athletes by preserving muscle mass and increasing fat oxidation, while also improving workout intensity by decreasing our perception of fatigue during workouts. With respect to health, it is also a relatively low risk supplement, so if you can afford it and you're looking for a low calorie way to preserve muscle mass, feel free to try them out. However, BCAAs cannot replace complete proteins in the diet, and they are not necessary if you are consuming enough protein through your diet alone. And number 4 on the list was caffeine, which does appear to have potential for reducing fatigue during exercise while also improving performance during cardiovascular exercise. Further, it may also assist with increasing the amount of total volume we do during resistance and cardio training. So, as a whole, supplementing with caffeine within the indicated dosages may be an effective way to improve performance during workouts. However, do not consume too much, especially in the form of pure caffeine supplements, because overdose is possible. And finally, one should also be aware of the possibility of becoming dependent on this compound. And finally, intake of omega 3 fatty acids appears to be associated with decreased muscle soreness following exercise, as well as improved muscle protein synthesis. As a whole, if you regularly experience significant muscle soreness after your workouts and don't consume enough fish, you may want to consider supplementing with fish oil. However, supplementation is not necessary if you consume enough fish already. You should also be aware that increased intake of fish oil may increase your total cholesterol, as well as have a considerable thinning effect on your blood, so increased risk of bleeding is possible. And on one final note, always be wary of supplements. And keep in mind, while these 5 supplements may seem great, they are some of the most commonly consumed supplements amongst athletes, and each has a considerable body of supporting evidence. This is rarely the case, and even the evidence for these highly researched compounds isn't always cut and dry. So, always scrutinize what you hear and let the evidence speak for itself. And be sure to understand a supplement's safety and efficacy before advising anyone to initiate supplementation of any kind. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation and hopefully reap some benefits from the information within it. So, again, thanks a bunch.